grand vision itself has always been, hey, let's create a platform where finding roommates and housing can be as easy as just booking an Airbnb, right? Like, because today it's sort of this very fragmented process where you're on Craigslist, you're on Facebook, or you're trying to find mutual friends to share this very, high risk, high cost contracts with people you often don't know. And so we thought, hey, the best way to do this was, to build this app where you can swipe left and right on, roommates and houses. So like Tinder.
Welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Just sit back, relax, and learn from the leaders of today. It's a journey. Each one is different, unique, inspiring. Let's get started. 20-Minute Leaders is a proud supporter of Make-A-Wish Israel and Tech to Peace, and is in proud collaboration with Secret Chord Ventures, J Ventures, Riverside FM, Fusion VC, Birthright Excel, J Impact, Leap, Google for Startups, and Hippo, and in media partnership with CTech. Welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Today we're talking with Colin Tai about modern living, modern sharing of living, single-family homes, and how people can better find the right match for where they will live. Colin is the co-founder and CEO of Alcove, a platform that enables shared living and any rental property. The platform invites people in search of their new home and community to find rooms to rent and allows for homeowners to list available bedrooms in their homes. We're speaking, I'm from Israel, you're from Hong Kong, even though I think we're both spending most of our time in the United States. So an international episode at the very least, and you're working on some of the most exciting spaces, I think, that we have today, and you'll elaborate why you're so excited by it. But this idea of living and community living, our ability to sort of understand where we want to spend our time, to have our room, our home, and the community we're going to be with. So you're taking it to the more modern approach with Alcove. And I'm excited to uncover in these 20 minutes a little bit about yourself and the formation of Alcove and why this is the most exciting thing for you to be working on right now. So Colin, the stage is yours. Thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. We're really excited to be here. Thanks for having me, Michael. Just to really dive right in, right? Like really what Alcove is building is what we believe to be, the future of shared housing. And for me personally, the story began, a couple of years ago when I was at Duke. I was actually trying to find, roommates because they made things a lot cheaper, and realized that there were lots of these, big rental units, rental homes. But, the hard part wasn't finding the homes. It was finding the actual roommates. You had to find a group of friends who had the exact same, location, budget, living preference, and then get everyone to sort of commit to this, big rental contract altogether. And even at school, where everyone had pretty similar preferences, this was still, a very, very time-consuming process for us. And so, as we sort of looked into this, I met my co-founder Patrick actually at a class at Duke, and we realized this wasn't just a problem for us. It was actually a much bigger problem. And today, about a third of all American adults live in some sort of a roommate situation, and for most of these people, just like us, they can't afford to live alone. And so really, there were two options: to either overpay for a studio apartment or to go through this very cumbersome process of piecing together this roommate group. And that's how we sort of decided to go on this journey to, reimagine the way that we find shared housing and, build the future of, roommate living and hence Alcove today.
Incredible. And so as you're sort of building this out and you started, how did you envision Alcove from the get-go? So you're coming from this personal experience. What was the grand vision that you were going towards?
Yeah. And it's funny because I think the grand vision itself has always been, hey, let's create a platform where finding roommates and housing can be as easy as just booking an Airbnb, right? Like, because today it's sort of this very fragmented process where you're on Craigslist, you're on Facebook, or you're trying to find mutual friends to share this very, high risk, high cost contracts with people you often don't know. And so really, how do we make it as easy as, booking an Airbnb or booking an Uber? But I would say the journey itself, and the more sort of the product vision has definitely shifted a lot. And so at the very beginning, we were sort of at Duke, and there was this very tight-knit community. And so we thought, hey, the best way to do this was, to build this app where you could swipe left and right on, roommates and houses. So like Tinder. And we sort of went through this, 3-4 month process in a Panera, next to campus, and we built this app, and we were like, okay, this is it. Everyone's going to come, and this was going to be the thing. And obviously, that wasn't quite the case. And we realized that actually, people did use it. And at Duke, where everyone was in this like college community, it was actually a pretty viable product. We were able to onboard, a couple hundred students, mostly grad students, who were sort of in the same groups. And we were able to onboard a bunch of apartment buildings who were interested, obviously, from the, real estate leads perspective. And then pretty quickly, when we just, tried to expand this, to the rest of the city, we realized that people didn't quite want to find roommates the same way, they would find their weekend dates. And so quickly rebuilt the app into sort of a web interface that's sort of more familiar, Zillow-like interface, which is, the way it actually is designed today. And so, you're able to, very much so like looking for an apartment or looking for a house on Zillow, on apartments.com, find, these beautiful single family houses with great compatible roommates that you can get matched with and sign a per room lease. So you're not on the hook, with the rest of your roommate group. And so that's sort of, it's, to answer your question, I think it's sort of pivoted a couple of times from, just an idea that, people could get matched, on a mobile app into these roommate groups, all the way down to this, I think very extensive, search interface where people can find, roommates and bedrooms in a single platform.
Interesting. And so if we're looking at sort of the consumer behavior shift, is there any different expectations from the user's perspective, either the roommates or the people that are looking for a room in this new type of behavior as they're searching for rooms? Or is there something new that you're expecting them to take part in, or some new market education that you have to do some heavy lifting? Or is this pretty much straightforward for anybody that comes into contact with Alcove?
Yeah. And that's an interesting question. I think the way to think about it is, first of all, how do people today, right, like currently find roommates, right? Like, first of all, you go on Zillow and you sign a lease and take on that risk of a full house, and then you go on Facebook, Craigslist, roommates.com, and go through this roommate acquisition process to vet and find these roommates. Which is a little risky sometimes, because you got to figure out if they're financially worthy and trustworthy to then split furniture bills, deposits with what effectively are sort of like strangers, and then ultimately be on the hook for a lease. So, for us, really, the way that our product had to match, the consumer, had to solve the consumer problem, was to make it so that it was, 100 times better, where it was super seamless and easy, for this entire process to be done on a single platform. And so the way we've done it is we from the search process, where you're only, having to find and qualify for, the bedroom itself. So, a third of the home, and then getting matched with a pre-vetted tenant to a background credit, income, and credit verified, and to signing per room leases, which means you're only responsible for your portion of rent, all within the 48-hour period. So that's step one. And then step two is, having payments, bills, support, renewal options, and chat options with your roommates, all on a single platform, so that we can essentially become this operating system for all your housing processes. And so, really what we learned was, the incumbent, right? Like the way that roommates currently do it today is this very broken, fragmented process that's extremely painful. And for us, we had to make it a single stop solution where someone can do it within a 40-hour period.
Mm-hmm. And tell me a little bit about growth here. So you were mentioning sort of the initial onboarding, but obviously the plan is to continue expanding. And tell me a little bit about the go-to-market strategies in your space. How do you get both sides of the marketplace to jump in, especially as you need there to be a massive interest from both parties on any given location in order to launch on that location, right? I mean, it's a classic marketplace problem. Somebody enters the app, you need to have offerings in your own area so that you can have a good experience.
Yeah, that's I think the way to think about the go to market. Well, first of all, I'll talk a little bit about how yes, both sides of these customers come on a platform, but also who these people actually are, right? Like on both sides of the marketplace. First of all, just to dive a little bit into what the market actually looks like, right? Like the problem that we're fundamentally solving, right, is that housing is unaffordable in America, right? Structurally speaking, the median American makes $30,000 per year, so can qualify for up to $800 per month of rent. And on the other hand, the median studio costs $1,200 per month, so you need to make $43,000 to qualify. So at the minimum, there's this sort of 40%, $13,000 per year rent gap in the real estate economy. So people can't afford to live alone. People need roommates, and finding roommates is a terrible process, right? Like, and this isn't just a college problem. And that was one of the biggest learnings for us. It's actually a much bigger problem than that. On the supply side, for these properties, right? These landlords, what's been happening, I think, the last couple of years with this institutionalization of single family homes, right? Like you've got BlackRock, Blackstone, American Homes Friend buying up these homes and driving up, what were already, pretty expensive housing prices. So for the everyday real estate investor, right, like there's this yield compression where you need to have a passive way to make more rent, right? Like, and so, that's sort of who we're targeting on both sides, right? Like it really is the 80 million Americans who are currently living in shared housing because they can't afford to live alone. And the 70% of single family owners, who, need a way to make more money, for the single family houses. And so the way we're acquiring these customers on both sides, right? Starting with the demand side, really starts with where people are currently searching for housing. So, a lot of these people are on, right, like on Zillow, on apartments.com, looking for studios or, single family houses to, for them to live with. A lot of these places, right, like is where we distribute and advertise our homes, right? And they see very clearly this, for example, in North Carolina, this $1,500 studio apartment, and then this $700, bedroom option, right? Like it's very clear for them, saving 50% is something to worth, then that's worth digging into. And so a lot of our traffic actually comes in from, what we call partner platforms, right? These partner real estate platforms. And on the supply side, similarly, right? Like they're renting out their units on these platforms, and we're going in there and sharing our story and telling them about how we, how we're, a value add, a great solution for individual homeowners. And so, that's how we started. And obviously today, there's direct traffic, word of mouth, organic, which has been, amazing. And that's sort of how we've been growing a lot recently.
So what is the offering today for Alcove, sort of end to end, besides the discovery phase? What are their action items, or what are their actionable things can people do on your platform from the moment that they discover a match that could be suitable for them?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll talk about this from the perspective of both sides, right? Starting with the demand side. So for these roommates, first of all, it's naturally, right, like it's a completely unique search experience, right? Because instead of, going on these, what we consider forum channels, right? Like Craigslist, Facebook groups, where you're looking at subleases and, these, very fragmented roommate posts. It's per bedroom listings, bedrooms in these single family houses, where they otherwise cannot access. So it's a complete spectrum of these, beautiful single family houses that they can actually apply to, right? Like once they've applied, they're completing background credit income checks directly on platform integrated with TransUnion, for this to be done almost instantly. And then, thereafter, right, like they're verified. And so they're let into this trusted platform on Alcove where they can meet the roommates, talk with the roommates, and see if there's a fit, right? Like, they've got, these profile features where they can upload their, where they're from, where they go to school, what they like to do for fun, and, things like that. Right. And so when they've decided that, hey, like I'm in this trusted community, I want to live with these people, they can sign a lease together. And again, this happens very, very quickly. And these homes are furnished. These homes come with Wi-Fi. These homes are, pretty much, everything that's required for you to, rent with roommates is done on platform. And so that's what's offered on the roommate side. On the supply side, right? Like for landlords, really, this is a one-stop solution for you to manage your entire single family rental portfolio. So you're listing your homes on Alcove, and then you're approving applicants, tenants, directly on your phone, and then you're signing leases on one single place. And so it's a way for you to very quickly and very easily, earn 50% above market returns on average on what traditionally is a unit that only families can rent. And now you can enable, a sort of micro communities of young professionals to be in your property and make some extra money at the same time.
Fantastic. So looping back a little bit to sort of the why of Alcove and your why. I mean, you started this off with Duke based on personal experience, but today, now running the company, why is this still something that you're so excited about? Whether it's, the opportunity in the market, the product itself, the team. I mean, what is it that really drives you with running Alcove today?
Yeah, that's first of all, there's a really, I'd say a lot of things. Obviously, every single day, we're building Alcove with an incredible team, and as we're saying, based in North Carolina, and so we're really a very mission-driven team that's focused on, again, building this future of shared housing, and so that's for me very enjoyable, just from a personal perspective. But really, I think on a bigger landscape, right? This need to live together has really grown, very significantly, and continues to be this, massive secular trend, right? Like from a structural perspective, there's really three key drivers of this we see every single day. And then for a high level, first of all, there's 5 times as many individual renters as there are single bedroom units. So there's this massive mismatch. And second of all, we know it's going to get worse, right? Like we need to build on average 300,000 new apartment units every single year for the next 10 years, which has been done once in the last 3 decades.
Wow.
And lastly, right, like we know roommate groups are already this natural solution, right? Like 80 million Americans, a third of all American adults live in, some sort of a shared household. And, for me personally, I'm in Hong Kong right now. I grew up here, and housing affordability is something that I've always wanted to impact. In Hong Kong, it's something that, really there's only one option, really. You have to build more housing. But in the US, we have this opportunity to really completely revamp and restructure the way that we rent housing with these single family units. And you're right, like from a systemic level, right? Like there's three things that we're really impacting in this space every single day. First of all, we're fundamentally creating more supply. For every 4-bedroom home that's on board in Alcove, that's 4 separate leasable units that's being created, right? We're reimagining the living space for individual renter, right? Who's traditionally getting this 500 square feet studio apartment and now getting access to a living room, dining room, backyard in a much larger single family space. Sure. And third of all, there's this major loneliness problem. I think that's been largely really unsolved since the beginning of the pandemic. And the way we've impacted this is, every single day we're creating these compatible living groups. And so far there's been, 1,500 roommates that we've onboarded and launched into these inbuilt micro communities. That's really, a great feeling for us that we see every single day, and something that drives us to, continue to build.
Interesting. And I guess the focus is mainly on sort of Generation Z and the younger generations that are more tech savvy and that are more prone to having trust through digital platforms, right? I mean, there's the sort of the old traditional ways of looking for spaces, and I'm guessing that also most renters and single family homes that are looking for bedrooms are more of the younger generations, I guess, probably up to 30, 40 today, right?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, our median age on Alcove right now is about 32. And so generally, I would say people on our platform are, 20 to 35. And obviously we have a wide spectrum. And I think our oldest tenant is something like 87. And so it's definitely not, it's definitely not a narrow. I think, yes, first of all, the digital, right, like, the digital revolution, Uber, Airbnb have definitely opened up, the path for us to, create this roommate sharing, roommate finding platform that's completely digital. So that's step one, right? But I think really the macros of the space, right? Like you look at, especially where we're currently located in Durham, in Raleigh, Durham, in Charlotte, and Atlanta, right? There's a 40% year-over-year roommate demand increase in the Southeast, in the Sun Belt area in the Southeast. And so specifically, we've chosen to focus, in this area, not just because, right, like that's where we started, where we when I went to school, my co-founder and I went to school, but also because there really is this tailwind of this macro trend that's happening. From COVID, people, sort of moving out of tier one cities. And we've deliberately stayed away from major cities, right? Like New York, San Francisco, LA, these are places where, traditionally there's already been a lot of young people living there, right? So developers have been able to build a lot of studio apartments, 1-bedroom units to accommodate for that, supply demand dynamic. But, these sort of, outer cities, like Sunbelt cities, Raleigh, Durham, Charlotte, Atlanta, Tampa, Jacksonville, Austin, Nashville, sort of a sneak peek as to what we're looking at next. Right? Like these are very fast growing cities with this incredible, mismatch, right? Like a structural inefficiency in the real estate, demand, to its supply. And, we see multifamily buildings getting built every single day in every single street. And we need to continue to do that, but we're not keeping up right now. And, we see it with rent prices. And so, Alcove is part of that solution. And, that's sort of, I think the combination of, the digital aspect and the macro aspect, I think is why this is such a great time to do this.
Colin, thank you so much. This was so enjoyable. I really loved your insights and the way that you're thinking through this problem, from the personal perspective all the way to the growth of it, and to understanding the market trends and what needs to happen in order to make housing more affordable, more accessible, and understanding how your work also impacts the supply and demand on both sides. So I'm curious to follow your journey with Alcove, and thank you very much for sharing with me your passion and excitement for it. So I wish you best of luck, and thank you very much for coming.
Thank you so much for having me, Michael.
Thank you.